It is the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. We're here every single day from 5 to 6 talking about the local issues that matter to you most and taking your phone calls 800-222-5222, 1-800-222-5222, your emails at randywangradio@gmail.com. Search for the KABC News Blitz wherever you get your podcasts and follow me on YouTube. I've got a YouTube channel, youtube.com/@RandyWangRadio. We're going to Skid Row today because something interesting is happening on Skid Row. Law enforcement is teaming up with animal services to rescue some of the dogs that are in fairly inhumane conditions on Skid Row. I know there's been a debate for a very long time. Is it really okay for us to be allowing the people who are surviving on our streets? I wouldn't say living, but they're not really living. But is it okay for them to be having pets? Can they really take care of those pets? Some of them, I'm sure they can, but a lot of them cannot. And, you know, if you own a home, the city or the state only allows you to have, like 5 cats? But if you don't own anything, if you're living in a tent, you're just living on a street, and it's okay that we let you, even if you cannot take care of a dog because you're not in your own right mind. So I'm excited about this. Let's see what's happening here. Luckily, it's an audio story because the pictures would probably give you the sads. For more on the Animal Welfare Unit embedded inside the LAPD for Skid Row, here's ABC 7 Eyewitness News.
The city of LA is cracking down on criminal activity on Skid Row that's hurting one group of residents who can't live a life on the streets on their own. We're talking about the dogs of Skid Row. A new city pilot program has now been created to help. So is it working? Eyewitness News investigative reporter Kevin Ozebek has tonight's 7 on Your Side investigates.
You see them all over the tent cities lining the streets of Skid Row. Dogs of all shapes and sizes, not at all fazed by the fires set on the sidewalks or the other animals they have to share a tent with.
Yeah, these dogs have been desensitized to the worst of the worst possible things that are out there, and if your heart doesn't break for the human suffering done there, and it's very possible that it doesn't, that you're so desensitized to it, your heart definitely breaks to the animal suffering that is going down on Skid Row. But I feel like that one, there should be something we should do something about.
We're definitely animal lovers by nature.
Lieutenant Andy Mathis with the LAPD's Central Division worked with the mayor's office to launch a new joint program with LA Animal Services. Now, one animal services employee is embedded with Central Division officers. And
they've got a ride-along animal services employee who's embedded with the LAPD that is patrolling Skid Row.
And they hit
whatever you think about the failures of LA Animal Services, and there are plenty, and that department is so woefully underfunded, and management has been terrible for a long time. But this is not a bad idea.
And they hit the streets of Skid Row together.
There are about 60 officers from Central Division that have been trained in some enhanced investigations about animal welfare.
The LAPD says some of those officers last month saved these puppies and 3 adult dogs, some so thin you could see their rib cages.
Okay, now I'm at the point where, yeah, this is unacceptable. We can't, there's a lot of people on the streets. You could argue not many of them are starving because we have so many supportive services here that we find ways to feed these people, whether it's through direct cash assistance, direct food assistance, food stamps, all these other kinds of things. The fact that you have starving dogs on the streets, and we're not talking about strays, we're talking about dogs that have owners, but the owners are homeless. I mean, that's not okay.
They were in this Skid Row trailer they say was a puppy mill.
Oh, yeah, and there's also that kind of illegal activity. Now, this isn't the norm, but when we see stuff like this, we've got to break it up because the last thing we need is more unlicensed people putting more puppies out on the streets. We do not have the capacity for the dogs and cats that we have right now. And somebody who's clearly out of their head that is trying to make money by breeding their dog illegally, can't have it.
This is video the LAPD gave us showing the inside.
They were living in horrible conditions. The dogs had feces on them.
And this video is from the LAPD showing an undercover bust of illegal puppy sales in the Fashion District.
You know, these kinds of sales are a two-way street. Who's buying the illegal puppies? Sure, they're cute. But if you're not going to a shelter or a rescue, what the hell?
Those puppies, as well as the ones rescued from the puppy mill, are all now in the care of Animal Services. Since the pilot program began, Animal Services says 26 dogs have been rescued. Another 12 dogs have been helped with spay and neuter certificates and food.
You know, that's the very least we should be doing, going through Skid Row and making sure that the dogs that are on Skid Row with people that cannot take care of them, that they are getting spayed and neutered. That is one of those long-looking investments that, you know, the city doesn't do a lot of long-looking investments. We're very reactionary. We're very short-term. But, you know, if you took a real concerted effort to spay and neuter the current population of dogs that are literally wandering the streets because their owners are wandering the streets, that could eventually control the population. And then at some point, there might be enough homes of people that want dogs and cats, and we've got enough at the shelters where everyone works out. Now, it's not going to work like that currently with the people in charge, but one can hope.
We have been screaming about this issue.
Victoria Parker has been helping dogs on Skid Row for years, both little ones like this guy and big dogs too.
So guys, this is Wyatt here. It's hard to believe, but just 5 weeks ago, he was rescued from Skid Row. He was apparently terrified, and he was also essentially skin and bones.
We've seen dogs being stabbed. We've seen a dog getting shot.
Okay, I'm back to this is completely unacceptable. Look, I understand as much as most that, you know, how much joy and how much meaning dogs and, sure, cats can bring to your life. But when you can't take care of yourself and you're also tasked now with taking care of a living being and you're not doing that, what are the punishments for it? Like, oh, I don't care if you're poor and you're on the street. If you're letting your dog starve, that's unacceptable.
We've seen dogs being stabbed. We've seen the dog.
If you're letting your dog get stabbed, come on. There's a lot of unpredictable, crazy behavior down there.
We've seen dogs being stabbed. We've seen the dog getting shot.
Victoria says the life of many dogs are so tough here. She hopes the city will do even more. But as the pilot program continues, more officers are learning to work with victims who are four-legged and furry. Kevin Ozebek, ABC 7 Eyewitness News.
Animal Services says the dogs and puppies rescued from that puppy mill and in the undercover operation are not up for adoption just yet. They have to be cared for as evidence until the case wraps up.
The dogs are in the evidence locker. I hope they don't have anything that can get chewed up in there.
If you have a story for 7 on Your Side investigates, let us know at abc7.com/7 on your side.
So a rare step in the right direction, at least for our law enforcement presence on Skid Row, which doesn't go far enough because we know how much illegal activity is going on there every day. But I know we don't want to put all the poor people in jail. We don't want to criminalize poverty. But I like the fact that someone from Animal Services is patrolling the streets because there are dogs, and I'm sure cats, but it's mostly dogs on the streets that are being mistreated every single day, whether it's completely intentionally or unintentionally because these people can't take care of themselves, so they definitely can't feed and take care of. Dogs are a lot of work. They are not a low-maintenance animal. It's not a goldfish, you know? Yeah, it's way easier than a kid, but it still takes a lot of time and a lot of attention, and I know how important some of those relationships are, but we should not be, even in Los Angeles, allowing any dog to be on the street at night in unsafe conditions. So here's my pitch. And maybe this will just tell you where my priorities are. Based on the amount of money that has been spent on certain programs in Los Angeles that have had minuscule to zero results. Like, let's take Karen Bass's signature Inside Safe program. the program where we spend $800 million a year to put about 4,000 people in motel rooms. How about we cut that budget in half? Maybe we got to double up the people that are in the motel rooms, or we got to figure out a much cheaper way to do that. But if you do the math on that program, and I've mentioned this before, but I have to mention it every time, just think about that number, right? $800 million. And I think it's higher than that. I think it's 880, but let's just go round down. $800 million that serves 4,000 people. That is $200,000 per person per year. Every month, that is nearly $17,000. $17,000 per person per month for just the 4,000 people in the motel rooms, which is nothing compared to the 44,000 that are still on the streets of the city of Los Angeles. So that's a completely useless program. But I don't want you to get rid of all of it, just part of it. Because, and I bet you if you polled the residents of Los Angeles, they would agree. If we only have a finite amount of money, there are probably more people now than ever before that would prefer you put more of that money into helping out dogs and cats than helping out the homeless. Again, we'll still help out the homeless. We have other programs. But this specific one, double up the motel rooms. Put 2 in a cot. I don't care. It's free housing. What if we take $400 million and we put that into our completely underfunded animal shelters? Is that a crazy idea? Is that heartless? I don't know. I look at the homeless animals, the animals that are the animals that are owned by the homeless as true innocents in all this. They have no choice of where they're living. And I'm sure they do love their owners, but they also would love to be taken care of. So I think cut down on some of this homeless spending that is mostly a grift and put it towards maximizing the capacity for all of our animal shelters, making sure that the dogs and the cats that do not have homes have every possible resource. Because I'm telling you, those are the kind of things where if you saw noticeable changes in the right direction, get enough people that are passionate that they want to re-elect you. But we're not going to do that. In fact, Karen Bass's record on animal services since she became mayor has been pretty darn horrible. But again, credit where credit's due. Small step in the right direction when it comes to the simple task of embedding someone from animal services with LAPD to be patrolling Skid Row because they are finding abused animals every single day. Speaking of pets, it's that time of year where the shelters are starting to get a little more crowded and they're running out of food. And I saw this report on NBC4 and I immediately took action because, well, all I had to do was look around my house and I could help. So let's listen to the report and I'm going to tell you what I did this morning. For more, here's NBC4 in Los Angeles.
The spirit of giving is alive and well in Southern California this holiday season, and the SPCA LA wants to make sure our four-legged friends are not forgotten.
Volunteers are now making a plea for pet food donations. They told NBC4 photojournalist Susana Varela that supplies are running low as shelters fill up.
If you're wondering what photojournalist means, it means they only had the budget to send out the camera person.
SPCA is experiencing a pet food shortage here at the end of the year. That's due to many factors. One, we have lots of large breeds like... Good job, buddy. Otis here. We've experienced a prolonged kitten season.
Oh, my. Yeah, we got to spay the cats, everyone. We got to do that.
We've had an 11% increase in the intake of kittens this year. We are looking for all foods, but specifically puppy, wet, kitten, dry, and cat dry. Look at the camera. This is
Specifically,
Otis.
that was like every kind of food. But okay, let's go through that again.
We've had an 11% increase in the intake of kittens this year. We are looking for all foods, but specifically puppy, wet, kitten, dry, and cat dry. Look at the camera.
But pretty much, they're animal shelters. They're going to use any food as long as it's not expired and not opened. And if you can help with that, you might not even need to spend any money.
Look at the camera. This is Otis. He is our longest resident. He's been with us for over a year. He's 4 years old. He's a lot of different things.
I sure hope he gets walks.
Pit, lab, chow. So he knows sit down. Can you down for me? Yeah. So he's a perfect combo. 50-50. 50 active, 50.
Hey, I'm doing my part. I have a rule. We can't have more dogs than people in the house because we travel a lot. And we are able to travel with our 2 dogs because there are 2 of us. If we got a 3rd dog, and believe you me, every once in a while my wife starts thinking about it, then I don't know how we travel. Then we have to leave them all at home or we have to get a sitter. It's a whole thing. And then I've got a cat. Believe you me, one's enough for me.
Snuggle chill. We're hoping that the public will see this, and as they're out doing holiday shopping, they might pick up some cans or a bag for us and drop it off at any of our locations. For those folks who want to help but can't make it to a shelter to drop off, go to our website, spcala.com. We have wish lists that you can ship direct from other places, make it easier for you. It really helps when we get some community support for things like this, because then we can use our funds for other programs and services, our medical care, our violence intervention, and our youth programs.
Violence intervention? Oh, I guess it's the ones that were in the dog fighting.
So come by anytime to meet our animals. And until the 15th, we're actually having an adoption special. So
yeah, that's right. They're waiving adoption fees, which they should really do all the time and encourage that more. But, couple of things will make it easier for us to adopt more people. One is there have to be more places where it's okay to bring pets. I understand if certain apartment buildings are not pet friendly because people have allergies, but right now, and there's been legislation to address this, but it hasn't made it across the finish line, there needs to be way more apartments that are pet friendly. Because if you got a single family home, you're good to go. But I remember when we were moving out of the home we were in Burbank and we were figuring out where to rent, and you go on Zillow or any of the rental websites and you click the filter for allows pets, and your search results go from like 300 to 3. So that's something we got to do. We also got to make it cheaper to live here, because if you can barely support yourself, it does cost, most of the time it doesn't cost that much to keep a pet, but vet bills happen. They will happen, and they can be very, very, very pricey. And I know what you're thinking. Well, why don't you just carry pet insurance? Well, I do. But you know what's not covered by pet insurance? Pet dental. Yeah, that's a fun one. But anything that can be done to help these shelters out, if they need food, that is something that is a worthy cause to promote. So when I heard this, I thought, okay, one, I should talk about this on the radio because I have a platform. But also, I have a whole lot of pet food in this house that's not getting used. So over the years, I have gone through quite a few diet changes of my animals. My cat has had some gastrointestinal issues, maybe because she's a long-haired cat and she's getting old and it's starting to get real gross. But we had her on a wet food that just wasn't working out anymore. And I took her to the vet, and they're like, you really need to be getting on this dry food because she's not getting enough fiber. So I got her on that dry food, and it was good for a while. But at one point, she had another big issue. I can't even describe to you on the radio what it was, but it was disgusting. So I took her to the vet, and they're like, okay, she's getting to the point where she needs to be on a special veterinary food, which you can order through Chewy now, and it's working out great. And she has had zero issues since in the last 4 or 5 months. So that's great. But what does that mean? That means that when I was auto shipping just cases of wet cat food, that's been sitting in my pantry. Still good, by the way. Expiration date is like 2027. And I have 2 bags of the previous cat food that I'm not using anymore, completely unopened. My dogs, got their teeth taken out. Well, not all of their teeth, but quite a few of their teeth taken out about a year ago. And so that was a fun vet bill, but they're much happier. But now they eat much smaller kibble, tiny little kibble that they just kind of inhale because they don't really chew. They didn't really chew before. And I have had a 70-pound bag of their old dog food sitting in my laundry room. It's still good. It expires in a few months. Well, not expires. It says best by or best if used by. So when I heard this story, I looked up, okay, where can I drop this off? And there happened to be an SPCA LA location right next to the radio station. They have one in the West Adams area on Jefferson, near where the radio station used to be, where that giant building is that I don't think anybody lives in because it's $4,000 for a one-bedroom apartment. And this was so easy. So I found out where to go. I loaded up my trunk with all of that cat food, the wet food, the dry food, the big bag of dog food, and some dog supplements that we weren't using anymore because we switched to a different brand. I had a whole trunk full of dog food ready to go and cat food. I brought it there. I said, hey, I've got food to donate. They said, hey, you can put it on that bench right there. Got it out of my house, helped out some dogs and cats, and felt real good about myself. It's that easy, but if you want to help out and if you've got extra pet food lying around the house, the SPCA LA needs it. So go to spcala.com and find out how you can help. There, I did my part. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC, and do I have something great for you? Are you ready? 790 KABC welcomes Toto to the Long Beach Amphitheater, August 14th, 2026. Tickets are on sale Friday at Ticketmaster.com, but right now, calling number 9 at 1-888-790-5222 gets a pair of tickets to the show. Tickets furnished by Live Nation. Good luck dialing. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC. It is the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. We're here every single day from 5 to 6 talking about the local issues that matter to you most and taking your phone calls 800-222-5222, 1-800-222-5222, your emails at randywangradio@gmail.com. Search for the KABC News Blitz wherever you get your podcasts and follow me on YouTube, youtube.com/@RandyWangRadio. Hit subscribe. Why not? Eunisses Hernandez is running for re-election in the city of Los Angeles. She was the DSA candidate who knocked out Gil Cedillo in a primary and caused quite the political earthquake in District 1 of Los Angeles.
Quite frankly,
she has been a rather destructive force on the LA City Council. She was one of the people who wants to.
Because we are the defund the police people, right?
And so far, it doesn't look like she has major opposition. There are a few people running against her. We're trying to get some of them to come on the show and explain what they're about because Eunisses, I just have a hard time totally represents her constituency.
Yes!
Maybe she does. Maybe the voting population is full on board with what Eunisses wants to do.
Are we going to get it?
But Eunisses is now having to make the rounds with different political action groups to get their support. And one of the most powerful political action groups in all of Los Angeles is the organization Streets for All. This is Michael Schneider's group, and they support a lot of legislation, and they endorse candidates, and those candidates usually get a lot of votes. They're the ones behind Measure HLA, which said anytime the city of LA has to fix a street, they have to put in a bike lane. And if they don't, they can be sued by anybody. That's right. It's like the ADA. It's a private right of action. Well, the voters passed Measure HLA, and Streets for All isn't done. So they brought on Eunisses Hernandez to start peppering her with more ideas if she gets another 4-year term. And Eunisses Hernandez was asked about one of her passion projects, Macarthur Park. In fact, the very first show that I did this year was on this topic. The very first show back was on January, I want to say it was 5th. It was like the day before the fires. Let's look back in the way back machine. All the way back before everything ended. It was January 6th. 2025. And I did an hour on Eunisses Hernandez's press conference at Macarthur Park, where Eunisses Hernandez talked about getting all of this money for all of these nonprofits to go in the park and help the people that were living in the park with, people rolling around in golf carts passing out harm reduction materials, like Homeless Healthcare Los Angeles, who pass out meth pipes and needles and what have you. And here we are almost a year later. Let's find out if those programs were successful and if Macarthur Park is any safer.
Macarthur Park. So
this was on the Streets for All YouTube page. They do a Zoom happy hour.
Macarthur Park.
I'm subscribed to way too many YouTube channels.
Macarthur Park. So Macarthur Park, I mean, this used to be one of the jewels of LA, a thriving large park. And in the 30s, when they wanted to extend Wilshire farther west.
Wow, we're really going far back.
In the 30s, when they wanted to extend Wilshire farther west, rather than tunneling through it, which was the original plan, they just split the park and cut it in two. And that has sort of led, by and large, to where the park is now. Now, you've proposed to close Wilshire Boulevard to cars between Alvarado and Park.
That's a terrible idea, something that Eunisses pitched and has been pretty quiet about for a while. But yes, she wants to reunite Macarthur Park by closing a major thoroughfare, Wilshire Boulevard, to cars.
And reconnect the two sides. That'll create a new large pedestrianized space.
And the funny thing about that was, wait, you want to do that before you clean up the park that right now is unusable?
Some other context, too. The park has its sort of share of security issues right now, too. And there's current proposals to construct a fence around the park. So one is, what drives your support for closing Wilshire Boulevard to cars through that area? And what is your vision for how we can also improve security at the park to make it a really pleasant place for pedestrians?
Oh, boy, she got asked about security at the park. I'm interested.
Yes, that's a great question. Thank you. So Macarthur Park is the densest neighborhood in the West Coast, west of the Mississippi. And
she likes to say neighborhood.
And it's an area that has a lot of need. That park is the front yard and backyard to thousands and thousands of people just a quarter of a mile away from the park.
So then why won't you clean it up? If that's all true, and this is a very dense area, and there's a lot of people that have no green space, but they have this giant park next to them, why wouldn't you be doing everything you could to make that park safe?
And so it's always been a priority for me. And like I said, early on in my tenure, I met a young man who got hit on while riding his bike in one of our high engine networks by Westlake, which is on the way to Macarthur Park. And because of the density and because there was really, it's one of the most transit-rich neighborhoods, there wasn't a lot of places where people could just sit and rest. And so what we said is, well, let's look into trying to create a pedestrianized street and reconnecting the park and giving it back to the community.
But that means you're going to have to take it away from the criminals that currently run that park.
And this process is doing a ton of community.
A lot of illegal selling going on in Macarthur Park. You want to get a stolen Social Security number? Go to Macarthur Park.
And this process is doing a ton of community engagement. So whatever fills that space is going to be, decided and uplifted by community.
That doesn't mean anything. Community engagement doesn't mean anything. It means you hold a town hall packed with your supporters, but you're going to do what you're going to do. I have yet to see one local elected official that was swayed by anything that has been said at any public comment ever. Politicians know what they want to do. Sometimes they're already paid to do what they're going to do. They don't care how upset you are.
The ultimate goal is that this pedestrianized street will take folks from Macarthur Park to Lafayette Park to make it one of the largest pedestrianized streets in Los Angeles so that everyone has a space to ride their bike or other mobility options like a scooter. But also,
Really? Scooters a mobility option? Aren't those things incredibly unsafe and that fad is almost all but gone? Who does the Lime scooter anymore?
But also, if they just want to sit or if they want more greenery in that area.
I remember when that thing was really popular. They were everywhere in Culver City. And people don't wear helmets. And they go too fast. And they go on the sidewalk. And they're dangerous. I tried one once. Couldn't even figure out how to start it.
But also, if they just want to sit or if they want more greenery in that area. That is our goal, because people deserve it. People deserve nice things. The MacArthur Park community deserves a space where they can rest and put their feet up so that they can also elevate their mental health.
But they don't have that specifically because you don't want to keep the bad element out of the park.
And that doesn't exist right now. Now, around the public safety issues, the different crises.
We'll hear what Eunisses Hernandez has to say about the public safety issues at MacArthur Park in this conversation she had with the very powerful organization Streets for All. Stick with us. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC. Let's hear what Eunisses Hernandez has to say about public safety at MacArthur Park.
Now, around the public safety issues, the different crises hitting MacArthur Park, it's definitely a reflection of what's happening across the country.
That's not an answer. Yeah, there are drug addicts in Virginia, so we can't clean up MacArthur Park is not an answer.
Just magnified, right? The second largest train station stop in the system.
Which used to be the most drug-fueled train station until CBS Los Angeles did an investigation, put cameras down there, and saw the open-air drug market that was the MacArthur Park station. Metro got embarrassed, so they started flashing bright lights and blasting classical music and pushed all those drug addicts to MacArthur Park proper.
Is the MacArthur Park train station with 22,000 people that go through it every single day. We have about half a dozen major bus lines that run through that area. It's one of the densest neighborhoods. And it's been a place where people can know that they can get many things for many, many years, especially.
That's her saying you can get the Social Security cards.
Especially our that's like one of the first places that our immigrant communities go to because
she's just straight up saying it now.
There's connection there, but also people go for other things. And so
it's where people know that they can go and buy drugs. But yes, bring your kids.
And so what I've done, and I tried to do this 10 years ago when I was a community organizer, is bring services to MacArthur Park. I tried to get a drug diversion program in 2015 in MacArthur Park.
What does that mean?
I wasn't able to get the buy-in from the city attorney at that time and other departments, so I took it to Long Beach. But now I've brought in at least $27 million worth of investments to the MacArthur Park area.
And is it any safer today than it was a year ago, or did we just waste $27 million?
Some of it has hit the ground, some of it hasn't. And some of it is some of it is from the city budget, some of it's from the county resources, and some of it is through private and public partnerships. So I brought in $3 million to open up a respite center so people can take showers, have food. That respite center is set to open up next year.
You know, you bring more services, you encourage more people to live in that park. I don't understand why this is so complicated. Well, I guess it's not. They don't care. The more people live in that park, the more money we have to spend for the services, and the people that provide those services are the benefactors of Eunisses Hernandez in that beautiful mutual relationship. You get my nonprofit funded, I'll make sure all my people vote for you.
Right now, there's not really a place for people to go who are in crisis, right? The police scoot them from Yoshinoya to across to the park, and they just go back and forth. We're trying to give people a place to be so they can have food, showers, and connections to health services. We brought in $400,000 from the County of LA for a mobile overdose response team.
That's Homeless Healthcare Los Angeles, the nonprofit that takes your tax dollars and passes out meth pipes. Can't wait to hear what she's got next for us. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC. Let's go back to Eunisses Hernandez with the Streets for All people talking about how safe MacArthur Park is now.
Because it's an area that has seen the most overdoses just in that one zip code in 1 year, 83 overdoses.
That's an indictment of the city. By the way, we've had people call in that tell us what happens. Somebody overdoses, they give you Narcan, and then they just leave you in the park to do it all over again.
We've invested $500,000 of CD1 discretionary funds in peace ambassadors.
It was the wildest press conference because she was announcing nonprofit after nonprofit after nonprofit that were getting your money to not solve the problem, to not make that park hospitable for families.
There was a 5-person shooting in January. Fences went up. We did not put those fences up. What we did is that we brought peace ambassadors to de-escalate the...
I love to hear this. We got to de-escalate when the gangs go to war with each other.
The tension and the violence in that area.
If we know who the gang members with guns are, why don't we just, I don't know, Put them all in prison now. Save ourselves some of the heartache.
That's why you didn't see retaliation shootings happen. And so, and then $20 million is from LA Care, where they're bringing more street medicine teams so that we can provide service to people on the spot. And we also have a USC street medicine team that we pay for.
It's like Doctors Without Borders, except they're not going to Rwanda. They're going to downtown LA.
So all of these resources and all of these programs, from reconnecting Macarthur Park to the programs around harm reduction to our public safety programs, all of it is to try to put out the fires that are all occurring around Macarthur Park. Because, like I said, the community deserves nice things too, and we can do that at the same time.
So how much money has she spent in the last year, and it's still a nightmare?
While we help other people who are the children of people, prevent them from dying, right? I've met families, mothers and fathers who have come looking at Macarthur Park for their kids.
Yes, because we have it known that it's an open-air drug den. Maybe we should stop that.
The services we provide is to make sure that our folks aren't dying on the street. So for me, Macarthur Park is a top priority. And it's a place where we're trying to bring in and fill the gaps that exist in the public safety ecosystem that right now, for the most part, before I got here, was just responding to harm and violence, not preventing it. And with the fence, I'll say this is a Rec and Parks project that has been proposed. This will allow for the park to be closed overnight so that it can receive maintenance. Right now in Macarthur Park, we can only have one bathroom open at a time.
Wait, what? Oh, I got to hear this.
Because people will break into it and break it, so we'll have to lock it up and then open the other one.
Oh, these are all the people that you're serving, the ones that you're trying to keep healthy. If you leave a bathroom open, they destroy it? What a wonderful people.
We're not able to take graffiti down efficiently. There's fires that occur in the park, overdose deaths that occur in the park overnight.
This is all after she spent hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars of your money with all these nonprofits to fix it. Doesn't seem any safer now, does it? Thanks so much, Eunisses Hernandez. I sure hope somebody of substance is running against her, because there should be a real discussion about the direction of that district.
Quite frankly.
And if they double down and vote for her again, well, we got no one to blame but ourselves. Last night, I made my usual Wednesday night salmon, but we tried something new. Instead of balsamic roasted salmon, we tried this seafood rub that I got from a spice shop in Solvang called the Solvang Spice Merchant. It's called their PNW Seafood Rub, Pacific Northwest. It's fantastic. It's so good. It was great on the salmon. It looked beautiful. And I made a video on it. So check out my 12-minute salmon recipe, youtube.com/@RandyWangRadio. It's the News Blitz. See you tomorrow.